paper shorts have decided that if this thing breaks out much higher, it's going to be a confirmed breakout. The mining stocks are showing that it wants to go higher, gold and silver. And what we're going to be interested to see is how this is resolved, whether or not the longs run for cover or whether or not they come in and buy. I noticed that the silver stocks that I follow and the gold stocks were not down that much. So I think the market is less and less inclined to pay attention to things like this and see them as a kind of a rogue wave that rolls itself on, and then we go right back to business as usual, which is confirming a bull market. For some people it is, but for the people that are buying and holding and acquiring, I think they see it as noise, because they talk all over the board, and the metals continue to work irregularly higher. The miners are earning, some of them, as much as they've ever earned because of the disparity between what it costs them to produce it and where it's going. And I think, to me, I know it would be a shock to some people to see silver down $1 today, but I've seen this before, and it's funny, it just doesn't have much effect on me. I remember how I felt a year ago in March at $12 silver. And now I know how I feel at $27 silver, and it's a whole different feeling. It's like it's just a matter of time. The supply all over the world, as you well know, and as Andy knows, is getting tighter and tighter. And when prices go down, people buy. When prices go up, people buy. So the game is nearing an end, in my view. It's just a question of when, not if. I think that's very important because, as you know, legally they are tasked with supplying the silver that the public demands. And if they're having trouble getting it, and this isn't just some blog post, this is the mint themselves talking. So this is one more big tea leaf that shows us that things are unwinding rapidly. And only the newbies that just started accumulating yesterday are scared. Everybody else has been around for a while knows that this game has an ending and it's in sight. I really do, and whether or not the edifice just cracks all of a sudden, or more cracks come in and finally there's no silver at all, it's difficult to say exactly what it'll look like. But I think when it does happen, people that have been waiting around for some magic price are going to find out that the magic they're looking for is unavailable at any price. Well, more and more people are understanding the narrative of what this really means and the difference between physical and paper. It's out in the public. It's not something that's hidden anymore. And even the people that are trying to move the price around with their paper are not trying to hide it. So I think anyone who does any amount of research in what's going on will come to see very quickly that this is a game that is rigged, and it's one and it's going to fall on its own face very soon, because you can only fool Mother Nature so long. And the market. And Mr. Market is not to be fooled indefinitely. The change in the last couple of weeks was some things on the boards of major oil companies such as Exxon, where 3 board members were moved off in terms of people that promised zero emissions and changing the whole face of the oil industry. This is sweeping like a tsunami. I thought it would take several years to play out where the oil industries might be challenged to up their game, but it's happening in real time in days and weeks. And the movement toward an ESG future and a carbon neutral future, now we can take issue with how reliable that's going to be and how attainable it's going to be. But the point is, there are forces that are moving this in a direction which are going to overwhelm the supply of copper, of silver, and other base metals, because this has not been fully thought out. In other words, instead of allowing this to happen over a couple decades, people want it now. And so they're going to do whatever is necessary to push the industries in that direction. And some of it is going to be ill-conceived, and the fallout is going to be that the metal supply is going to absolutely dry up. You can see what's happened with copper lately. You can see what's happening with silver. And I think it's going to push this narrative in a different direction much more quickly than any of us can imagine, with the good and the bad coming out. And we'll see which one ends up on top, whether it would be more good or more bad. But either way, it's going to massively affect the fortunes of silver and its availability. So anyone that's waiting around is going to end up becoming a spectator rather than a speculator very soon, in my view. It could certainly continue further, and I don't see $12 again. Of course, anything is possible. But let me say this. if you see a sharp drop in silver of several dollars, don't blink, because by the time you open your eyes again, it'll probably be back up to where it was. This is going to be like pouring water in a test tube beaker. It's going to go down to the bottom and come up the other end more quickly than you can imagine. This is not a punch bowl. It's a very narrow V-shaped situation. So I'm watching the mining stocks. They're saying, we're not worried. I'm watching the supply of silver. We're saying, we're not worried about anything new coming on in the market or a drop in price. So this is just something that is fascinating, and we're going to look back on it and wonder how we didn't see it coming. Those who proceeded to look the other way when all the evidence is pointing in this way. You know, trying to predict where silver is going to be on a given day or week or even month is a fool's game. It's not possible. You get it right a couple times, but when you look at the fundamentals and the technicals supporting what's going on here, and how the premiums stay high. I mean, $3 used to be a premium for the American Silver Eagles. Now it's 10 or 12. That's insane. Who would have ever believed that? And who would have ever believed that that would persist, not just for a couple of days, but for months? So I don't know what more information people, the naysayers, need, that this is artificial and rigged, and it has a very short shelf life than what's going on behind the scenes. The backstory completely obviates what's going on today in the markets. The premiums are just insane, and to pay $12 or $10 over spot is not a good business way to do it. I still think that bullion coins, 1 ounce and 5 and 10 and 20 ounce and even maybe 100 ounce silver bars are really a cost-effective way to go. So if you're trying to get something close to spot, you know, relatively speaking, that's the way to go in my view. And as you know, there are times when the 1 ouncers carry a premium that's all out of proportion to buying a 5 ouncer on a per ounce basis. So you bob and weave a little bit. But in my view, this is the time to be bold and bright. Now, be bold doesn't mean taking out a home loan to buy more silver. Being bold means to hold on to what you know is right. Don't be selling your silver. If you have money that's allocated for more silver, buy a little bit more. Go against your emotions, because emotions, we still are primitives with computers, and our emotions have not changed in thousands of years. When you see times like this, people panic, but the people that make and keep the big money are the ones that are buying right now, in my view. So keep it simple, and if you plan to buy more, consider that. If not, just hold on and just let the emotions slide by, and don't get caught up in it.